When you download the main Word SPM form, this is what you will see. I will give a general run through the form, but if you don't fully understand this at the outset, everything will become clear as I work through the presentation and show you how this was used to define the work I will be doing in Area 1 of the garden. The form is effectively split into 3 areas. The first area is the headings, and these are divided into 2 sections. The first section is in the heading area of the document itself, which means that every subsequent page that you will generate of this Word document will have this heading. The heading contains the overall title of the project and also the project ID number. In the example I will show you, the title of the project is Build Decking Area in Area 1 of the garden, and this will be Project 26. The second part of the heading is not in the heading area but is the top part of the form. The reason for this is that although the project remains the same, the title of the particular action is going to change every time you break down the project. This section of the heading is the title of this section of the project. The second area is the defined area, and this is the area which is in the left-hand column of the page and consists of the following. Specific, this defines the action to be taken. Measurable, this is statement of what this particular part of the action would look like once it's finished, or what impact it would have. Achievable, this is the pen picture of how this is to be accomplished. The third part of the form is the realistic section. This takes information from the defined section and turns it into a series of actions. The ID is the ID number of the action beginning with 1. The title is the title of the action to be taken, and specific defines that action. POM relates to Pomodoro, that is how many focused 25-minute actions it is estimated that would complete this action, and COM relates to completed, and that is when the action is physically undertaken and done. The left-hand side of the cell underneath, P\ID signifies the parent of this specific action, which I will explain later on, and on the right-hand side this is a summary of the number of Pomodoros and also an indication of whether this whole section is completed physically. At the bottom right-hand corner of the form is the page number, and if you are using this form in Word, this will generate sequentially. Before we continue, I want to show you one of the ways which you can use Microsoft Word and also LibreOffice Writer with this form. What I'm doing here is copying the body of the form and pasting it to subsequent pages. The idea is to create a couple of additional forms which will be within the same project. So let's begin to fill out this form. The first thing we need to do is to enter the title of the project. The title of this project is to build a decking area in Area 1 of the garden, and the project ID is 26. Given that this is the first page, the title is going to be the same as the project, which is Build a Decking Area in Area 1 of the garden. Next we define the actions to be taken, and the action to be taken is to build the decking area in Area 1 of the garden. What it looks like finished, or what the impacts of this is to sit comfortably in Area 1 of the garden being a decking area, that is measurable. Once I'm able to do that, the project is completed. So now we come to the pen picture and to break down the action into steps, and this is what I propose to do. I need to clear the area, I then need to level the ground and prepare it. Then I need to set up the decking foundation structure. Once that is done, I will then need to secure the wood across the foundation. That will give me the decking area. I then need to purchase the furniture and set it up. I will then be able to sit comfortably. So now we move on to the breaking down of the project. So if you have a look at the achievable, that is where most of your ideas for the actions are going to come from. ID 1 is clear the area, and specific is to clear the area of stones, gravel and fabric and clean up the edges. ID 2 is to prepare the ground, and specifically that is to dig up the ground and level it. ID 3 is set the decking foundation. I need to set the decking foundation of wood for the decking. ID 4 is to set the wood across the foundation frame, and specifically that is to secure the wooden planks to the foundation frame. At that time I will have the decking area. ID 5 is then purchase the furniture for the decking. Specifically, I will then need to purchase appropriate furniture for the decking. This completes the first form. The second form is going to be entitled Clear the Area. So, this is the second form. As you can see, the heading of this form is now Clear the Area. You will notice that the ID of the previous form that generates this document is ID 1, and if you look to the bottom of the form you'll see that P\ID now has a 1 in it. The specific defined action on this one is to clear the area of stones, gravel and fabric and clean up the edges. And this is taken from the previous form. ID 1 on the previous form. So, the next part of this is measurable, which is what will this look like finished. And area 1 will be ready for digging up once this is finished. The achievable parts of this reads: I will need to move the large stones to the top garden. They are to be used on another section of the garden. I then need to remove the gravel from area 1. This will be put back once the ground is level, so I need to store that close but not in the area. I then need to remove the fabric and again store that close, as I will be using that again. I need to make sure that the edges which hold the foundation frame are clear and everything is set. The next part is to move into the realistic section, and the ID next in sequence is 6. The title of this is Move Large Stones to the Top Garden, and specific, I need to move all the large stones to the top garden. This now constitutes a specific action which can be estimated as a Pomodoro. I estimated this at 3 Pomodoros. The next ID is ID 7, Remove Gravel, and the specific is to put the gravel into banks in area 6, but only if area success clear. Again, this is a defined action which can be estimated in Pomodoros, and I've estimated this at 15 Pomodoros, amounting to just over 6 hours. The next section of the work is ID 8, which is to remove the fabric. It's just a case of rolling it up really, so I don't think that's going to take any more than 1 Pomodoro. The next ID action is 9, and that is sort out the edges, and that is to work around the edges of the garden to ensure that they are clear and ready to take the structure. Again, this is a specific action which I have estimated 4 Pomodoros for this action. And now we know that this section is estimated at 23 Pomodoros. So, taking the parent ID, we now need to move back to the form which holds the parent ID number, because we now know that the Pomodoro relating to ID 1 Clear the Area is estimated at 23 Pomodoros, about 9.5 hours. This needs to be entered in ID 1. You continue to break the project down and then fill in the Pomodoros back until page 1 is completed. I'm just going to show you what I mean. Now we have completed ID 1 on the first page, we now need to look at ID 2. ID 2 is on page 3 with IDs 10, 11 and 12. However, you will notice that I haven't put anything in a Pomodoros for ID 12. The reason for that is that I need to break that down even further. So the next page, page 4, relates to parent ID 12 and the actions are ID 13 and 14, but 13 does not have a Pomodoro because I need to break that down further. So the next action on page 5 relates to parent ID 13. So, parent ID 13's actions are indicated at ID 15 to 20, and this is completed, so 27 is put into the total Pomodoros cell. So now you move back to ID 13 and put 27 into ID 13. So now 27 plus 2 is 29, so now that is now completed, so put 29 in the total Pomodoro cell and then move back to ID 12. Completing ID 12 means that this page is now completed, and 5 plus 4 plus 29 equals 38, so that now needs to be put the total POM cell and moved into ID 2. So we now know that ID 2 is going to take 38 Pomodoros, about 15 hours. The next action will be ID 3, and that will now begin on page 6. And you continue to work that way if you want to fully plan the project. However, if you have my book PerfectDay Book 1, A Day of Small Things, then you will know that I do not work this way, and on this project I would stop here. The reason why is because I can envisage what needs to be done up to this point, but the longer you go into the project, the more chance there is of something coming up that you have not accounted for. So in the book I've suggested that you plan part of the project, and then complete the action, put an X in the com box so that you know where you are, and then once the action has been taken, you then plan next section the project and complete the action and so on. ID the 3rd of May might sound a little bit easy, set the foundation of the wood for the decking, but as I explained in the book, I need the decking to be able to be taken up just in case we have any work which I'm still envisioning relating to work on the annex and potentially Area 5, and that may require heavy equipment to be moved onto the decking, so obviously I don't want that to happen, so I need to plan the decking out so that I can take up the decking easy. So, ID 3 is not as straightforward as it sounds. I hope this gives you some idea of how to use SPMs. I find them really useful, but here is the thing. Before I finish, I'm going to say something now that might sound incredibly stupid, but it isn't. Believe me, there is scientific evidence for what I'm about to say right now. It relates to how your brain works and how you concentrate. What I'm about to tell you is the way I suggest you work to the best advantage using SPM, and that is, write out your SPMs by hand. I have put this Word document on the website as a download, but the way I work it is by hand. On the website I have put forms, Word and PDF, portrait and landscape, that can be downloaded. I've downloaded and printed out and then filled out by hand. I seriously advise that you write out your SPMs by hand. It might sound stupid, but as I said, there is scientific proof that this method of working is better than just typing it into your computer. Honestly. Thank you for listening.